It's time for your Friday coffee with your mortgage man, Eric. So first off, you guys know I hate being in an office and doing these videos in an office. It just doesn't have the same appeal as doing them outside in a nice setting. But the reason why I'm in the office today, it's at 92 degrees already, which doesn't really scare me off that much, but the landscapers are outside with their blowers. So it is what it is. You don't want to be hearing the landscapers and watching the landscapers go by. So let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about the HOA or not the HOA. That is the question. So now, look, I know there isn't really a right answer here. This is a personal preference. What do you prefer? And there's validations or valid arguments on both sides of the fence here, and I would love to hear you guys chime in and tell me about your horror stories on an HOA, or you weren't in an HOA and you had to deal with the city of Phoenix or another municipality or a crappy neighbor, right? And we're going to dive into some of those things. I'm not going to be able to cover them all, but we're going to hit a couple bullet points on the benefits of both sides. HOA, the benefits, right? They bring a civil order to the neighborhood, some guidelines, some restrictions. And look, most of them, if we're honest about it, are good. Unless you're the neighbor that wants to paint your home orange, neon orange, or camouflage and throw a 57 pickup truck up on blocks in your driveway for 4 years and then put 2 couches out in the front yard and park 3 other cars in the front yard and have no grass, just a dirt pit in the front yard. While everybody else in the neighborhood is taking care of their home. What have you done? You've driven the value down, right? Markability, saleability, right? Etc., etc. So, are you that neighbor? Anyhow, the benefits of HOA, some civil obedience, and some regulation is good. Not over-regulation, but some regulation is good. Now, the downsides to HOA, right, are that we put humans in charge. And any time that we give humans a little bit of an empowerment over other humans, there are some that abuse that power. And that goes with any and every level of law enforcement or the chain of command anywhere inside of corporations. It doesn't matter. There are some that abuse it, and there are some HOAs that are more or worse than other HOAs. And I think that we have to understand, if you had a terrible experience with a certain subdivision, a certain HOA, they're not all the same. There are some that are better than others. There are some that manage better than others. There are some that communicate with the owners of that community better than others. And we've got to understand that. Now, I've been living in my subdivision, in my home for 14 years now, and for the majority I've had good experience. I've had one bad experience, and yeah, that pissed me off, right? And just a quick little thing that happened to me is we redid the front of our home. Put up a pony wall, and we had to do drawings, sketches, and get them approved by the HOA. And we did all that, and we did the faux rock in the front, and we got that approved by the HOA. At the same time, we were changing the garage door. And there's nothing on the HOA website that says we have to get permission to change the garage door, or we would have done that. So we changed the garage door, and we got one of those nice garage doors that has like the faux wood finish, right? So 9 months later, 9 months later, we get the nasty gram in the mail. You didn't have architectural review approve this. Like, are you kidding me? So I go down to the HOA, I'm being cordial about this, and the reception, oh, your garage door is beautiful. I think it's just lovely. You shouldn't have a problem getting this approved. Just, submit your paperwork. You'll be fine. I submit the paperwork. It gets denied. Go down there again, right? Another 45 days later. Oh, you should appeal this. Okay, I'll appeal it. I appeal it. Comes back. It gets denied. The reason why they deny this, right, is your garage door has to be the same color as one of the 2 colors of your home. Okay. So this is an upgrade. The faux wood door, garage door, is an upgrade, right, to the standard door in the neighborhood. They're not accepting it. And at that point, well, you could fight them. No, I'm not going to. I mean, really, I got better things to do. I'm not going to hire an attorney and go 2 years and get violations and citations and deal with all that crap. I got better things to do than to try to fight an HOA, because guess what? You're not going to win. And those that do win spend thousands on an attorney and 2 years in litigation. So what? You can say that I won. Did you really win? All the time that you spent? Time in life is more valuable, in my opinion. So the color of the garage door, right, was a hint. I mean, a hint, a shade off from the trim of the home. But, it pissed us off. We, look, we had to basically get rid of the faux wood look. We move on with life. First world problems, right? But that was my terrible experience with the HOA. Overall, look, they keep the common areas clean. We've got a pool, a community pool. It's heated, a rec center, right? Beautiful, plush, green lawns, and it looks great. It looks great. And I wouldn't want to give that up, personally. I like driving through my neighborhood, knowing that it's clean, it's upkept. That's just my personal preference. Now, you go into a non-HOA, right? To HOA or not to HOA, that's the question. If you go into a place or a subdivision or a community that doesn't have an HOA governing the homes, yes, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to deal with, the HOAs and the names that people call HOAs, which I will refrain from on here, because it may offend somebody. But you can do what you want to your home, and within question, I believe, right? Because you can still have to deal with the municipalities, right? And I get people that have been tainted because of terrible HOAs. Ruthless HOAs, extremely hard to deal with HOAs. I understand where they're coming from, that you can do what you want, and well, I want to choose to paint my home from just more than the 6 choices of color patterns they give you at the HOA office. I get that, right? But what if you're the neighbor that decides to paint it neon pink? Right? Well, I have that right. Really? I mean, you see, that's why I lean more towards the HOA side. Now, look, the non-HOA side, you still have to deal with the municipalities, but they're a little bit more forgiving, right? You got to wait till your weeds get about 3.5 foot tall before you even receive a letter from the city of Phoenix, because your weeds are 3.5 foot tall in your front yard. And I'm sure your neighbors just love that, right? Because that speaks that there's no one there, and that invites looting and squatters and crime, and so it can metastasize, if you will, quite quickly, and it can affect the saleability and the marketability of your home. With that said, I completely understand why people say, I don't want to be in an HOA. I've been doing this for 19 years, and I get it. I understand it. There's a pleasure. There is something beautiful about owning your home and not having to answer to anyone about the choices that you make with your home. And I get that. It's just that, again, we have certain people, some bad apples, that 1 out of every 100 or so that take it to extreme. Or they put 3 sofas in the front yard and 4 other vehicles, and and have rave parties in their front lawn, and their weeds are 4 foot tall, and their house is painted, neon pink, right? I get that. So with that said, please share your horror stories. I'd love to hear them. I think everybody else would love to hear them, because there are benefits to non-HOA and HOA communities. And it's Friday Coffee with your mortgage man, Eric, and yes, the landscapers are still out there blowing. Make it a great day. We'll see you guys.